Esther Rose quotes, I had a wonderful father and I couldn't bear the television virtually ignored black fathers. Esther Rose was the mother and co-starring the hit show Good Times back in the 70s, and she did movies and theater. She was a well-renowned actress. She actually could do theatrics. She didn't like the buffoonery that they allowed in Good Times with Jimmy J.J., Kid Dynamite Walker. That's why her and John Amos had left. John Amos, of course, his character was gone, James Sr., but she didn't like the clownery, buffoonery, the stuff that they allowed on that show. And it caused her to want to leave. She only wanted to do the show if they could show an uplifting black family and the qualities and so on and so forth. So, you know, this is the thing. She's right. Because if you think about it, to that point, John Amos, James Sr., you had Fred G. Sanford, and you had George Jefferson. You didn't have a lot of black male father figures. And of course, on what's happening, Rogers Pop, you didn't have a lot of black male figures that were fathers on TV. And then, of course, Bill Cosby somehow became America's favorite TV dad. And you see how they didn't kind of just act like he didn't exist no more, because after everything that went on is personal, I ain't going to forget it. But he was the first one to get that crossover. And of course, Uncle Phil with the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and family. But it ain't never been like that widespread of a thing, you know. And that was done on purpose. TV is a very manipulative game and how it trajects. But anyway, her quotes were very true, very real, because they didn't push that agenda. And, it's very telling about how that comes to be and how that comes to pass. They don't really want that. They didn't really want that. They still really don't. But we don't really look at TV in the same instance as much as how important that was, especially growing up in the 70s, early 80s, that really psychologically, And you saw some more in the 90s onward, but it was not compared to again, that was done on purpose. That's a tactful move that they do. But she made a valid point. And I'm talking about a balance of a character where they had to put it. And of course, if the John Amos character was younger than Esther Rowe, just like Sherman Hemsley was younger than Isabel Sanford on on Jefferson. So, but even when they did it, they got it where but they made them look a certain way. And again, it's just how they've done things. Um, it's a very janky suspect system. And, when you see things for where they are and what they come out to be, you find out a lot of stuff hasn't changed, and some things have, some haven't, but they still are lagging behind with this. But I think that was a strong statement that she said. She didn't want to be playing typical roles, and she wanted a family balance, which is important, because the TV meant everything back then, even more so than now. So I took heed to what she said about that, and I co-signed where she was coming from. Because it really, you do a disservice when you don't show balance. But they don't really care. The system has only been about one way. And so they've done it where they haven't had a balance. But I think Esther Rose was speaking from the heart and the soul with the situation. And I applaud her immensely. So I want to take time to talk about that. And I thought that was a very strong statement that needed to be said, because it still is something that needs to be said. Please like, subscribe, welcome thoughts, comments, and I do respond. Thank you. Wash your hands. Keep your mind clear. Watch out for another. Share it if you like. Stay safe, stay blessed, stay woke, stay free, stay true. I'm out one time. Peace.